lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking about not one book, not two books, but three books. And the reason I'm going to talk about all three is because all of these books released same day, April 3rd, which is being referred to as Ghost Machine Day. Got a great signing in LA at my local comic shop, so very excited for that. You're going to have Geoff Johns and some other people will be there as well. And then and also hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and check out some of the other dope content on the channel. Not, bunch of reviews, old, new, indie, big publishers, all that good stuff. So hit that subscribe button. Now let's jump straight into these. I'm going to do very quick overview. I don't want to get super into the weeds on this. I won't get super into them. I just wanted to show them off and really just say how stoked I am for this line. It started with, the original Geiger. We'll talk about that first because that's what kicked this off. Originally, it was called Mad Ghost, which was going to be Geoff's, publishing line, and he did Geiger under that. He did Junkyard Joe. So there was the original 6-issue miniseries of Geiger. We had the 80-page special as well. Then we had the Junkyard Joe miniseries, and then there was also a 2-part Geiger series that led into the Ghost Machine one-shot, and now here we are. So this imprint has been around for some time, and you'll notice this branding, the unnamed, that ties in to a bunch of other titles, a bunch of other characters that we're going to see coming down the line. I've been loving everything set in this world so far, so I was super stoked to find out that they were expanding, and it's not just one title, it's not just the 3 that I'm talking about. There's more to come. But, this, and I love, we get the whole crew of creators that are attached to Ghost Machine. Gonna be everybody has ownership in it. We give a quick backstory also on the character of Geiger, aka Tariq Geiger is his name, and he was struck by cancer, and it was in the future there was a bomb fell out. There was this conflict called the Unknown War, which we still haven't fully we haven't seen all the effects of what that is, but I mean it's definitely a well built out world from the prior miniseries. I highly recommend going and picking up those other 2 trades, Geiger and Junkyard Joe. But this bomb falls, and that's how he becomes basically this nuclear man. He's referred to as the glowing man, and I love the design. It's 25 years from now, so this is set in the not too distant future, a little bit post-apocalyptic. There's no rules. People can walk straight up to somebody and smash their face in with a shotgun. And then I love this. The guy comes up after he's coming into this western town, or what feels like a western town because it's kind of all this fallout. We got this McDonald's that's kind of dilapidated. The buildings are kind of run down, and he comes up, smacks this book out of this guy's hand, and we see, who do we see? Tariq's 2-headed dog, and then the look he gives him, and then we get this amazing establishing shot. I forgot to mention the creators of just this title. I know I've mentioned Geoff Johns, but it's Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. They are co-creators on this book. Brad Anderson is the colors, and Rob Lay is the letterer. I think this is a fucking phenomenal double-page spread. I mean, you just see the effects of what Geiger's done. This dude's burning from his ribcage. The handprint on his face bubbling. These rods that he uses to fight, also when they're strapped to his back. When they're strapped to his back, they are able to keep him in normal human form where he's not glowing and irradiating this nuclear energy. But super fun. I love Gary Frank. I think that, Geoff Johns and him have done a bunch of collaborations, whether it was on the Superman, on Action Comics with the Legion story, the Brainiac story. They did Doomsday Clock together. They've done Shazam. This is just the next in a line. And, as sad as I am to see, these creators not working at DC anymore, I'm so excited for what the future entails. I love new concepts. I think the market's thirsty for new concepts and, new titles by, some big name creators, and, they're coming out with a splash. I didn't even mention the fact that the paper quality on here, this cardstock cover, production quality is on point for this. And this ties in, straight into the story that we saw in the Ghost Machine one-shot. Tariq's, sitting there talking with his, irradiated animal, and he's like, you can just see the dog is notices something, and he's like, I told that idiot to stop following me. And it's this guy that, was a knight, quote unquote, the King of Vegas, which is somebody that was in the first Geiger miniseries. So a lot of callbacks, but again, this is super easy to jump into. You don't need to know a ton. The recap is perfect, and I just love this back and forth. Tariq, he's lost his family. He's got a chip on his shoulder. This guy's just trying to follow him, and he's like, I've done some shit, and I need to atone. And then he's like, this bomb goes off. Tariq's taken out because of the bomb. Dog attacks, and we see him, he thinks about to get killed, and boom, another great action shot. Geiger coming in. I just like the skull like that, and the way he's irradiated, the logo on his chest plate looks super cool, and he's just super enamored with him. And he just he's like, I want what you have, what I have. I'm the cancer. Don't waste your time trying to find a point to this pointless place. Just look around you, Knight. Nothing good survives in this world. And we get a flashback, super sad, as he's traversing this sandstorm. He's thinking back on his daughter and his families, reminiscing about his wife. And, it all ties into this flower he sees growing, because it's the same flower, in his daughter. So this is a crazy scene. The Knight, he wedges this sword in the rocks. We see the sunset. And, as he's looking down, sorry, Mom, he's about to plunge himself on the sword, and Geiger kicks it straight out of the way and saves him. And now he's basically, the way I gather, kind of an unwanted sidekick, but he's going to feel like he's going to be a cool character, calling him Nate the Nuclear Knight. Great ending. We see this, as we end, we see this random guy come up, and he picks up that same flower, and he's got some sort of power. Great little mystery at the end of it all. Can't wait for the second issue. Next up, we're going to talk Redcoat, which is basically a douchey British soldier from the 1700s. So we met him in Prior, and he's also part of the Unnamed. So, you'll see, and I kind of glossed over it. I'll show it off right now, because there is this kind of timeline, right? So we get Redcoat, get the Northerner, who I don't think we've met yet, 1864. The Monster, we don't know, 1944. Junkyard Joe, we have in 1972. Widow X, 1997, we don't know. First Ghost is present day. Again, don't know. And then we got the Unknown War and Geiger. So the Unknown War is kind of, the catalyst for what we're going to see moving forward in the future of the line. But, now let's get back to meeting our douchey Redcoat soldier. So we see Paul Revere running in, right? Is yelling of the Redcoats are coming. The Redcoats are coming. And all these British soldiers come straight up. They're all with their cocky little attitudes, start kicking the shit out of him. And then we see this, as he's getting the crap kicked out of him, we see this little glow bug flying. And instantly, there's something else involved. This is not normal. All of these bugs flying around, and they start flying into their bodies, lighting their heads on fire. It's just crazy. Paul Revere's just laying on the ground, and he's like, this guy comes up, he's like, oh, it was only me, Mr. Hancock. So John Hancock is responsible for bugs flying around. So all these fireflies that had flown in and burned these guys' skulls from the inside out, we're seeing there's magic going on in early America. A way different history than we've ever been told. So it's definitely a cool twist. And we get to meet Mr. Simon Pure, who we met prior in the Ghost Machine special. Highly recommend you pick that up. It definitely, sets the stage for all of Ghost Machine's books. But we see him running through the city Christmas Day. Talks about men with unbreakable conviction, undeniable honor, and unshakable courage. But that ain't me. And so he's just being chased by all these soldiers. And he was, as he says his name, he's like, but I'm anything but, as you'll come to know. So he's definitely not a pure of heart. He's kind of a scumbag. And we see him taking refuge in the church. He's passed out. But as he's passed out, he hears all this noise. He gets woken up. And when he's in the rafters, he sees some weird shit. None other than Benjamin Franklin on this altar with this secret society. And what are they doing? There's some sort of ceremony, and they're throwing this freaking skull into the flames, and he needs to die so he can be reborn. So a lot of crazy shit's going on, and all the while, Simon Pure falls down, and he ends up being right in the line of, no pun intended, but this this fire, and he ends up taking on these abilities. I love this effect, by the way. Bryan Hitch, got so excited about talking about the book. Bryan Hitch is the co-creator on this one, with Andrew Curry on inks as well. Brad Anderson again coloring. But this is just such a fun story, such a cool twist. And then we see, like, immediately 1776, right? Now we jump to 1892. So as you can see, it's been 116 years later. All those people are long dead. As he said, he never saw any of those hooded bastards again. He's immortal. That's why he's still around. And then we see, like, throughout time, 1790, 1827, 1892. And it's just going to keep on going, where he keeps being the most unpure Simon Pure. Love this double page spread of him jumping out the window, too. So eventually, what I can only imagine is we're going to catch up to maybe the present day. He's going to cross paths with maybe Geiger, maybe some of the other people from the Unnamed. Obviously, he's always been called a scoundrel, a liar, a thief. Love this barroom brawl. And then next thing you know, he's being buried alive. He's buried alive. He's in a coffin. He gets dug up by some German guy, and we don't know who it is. And he digs him up. He's like, I require your magic to stop a great evil. Who could this great evil be? I don't know. I'm going to assume it's got something to do maybe leading into World War II. Who knows? But he gets dug up, and we see the same hooded guys from the past. He's left in a very precarious predicament. So very, very fun book. And I love these bios that they do in each one. There were some bios in the Ghost Machine one shot too that kind of gave some backstory on some of these characters. And I want to show off this freaking wraparound cover, which is. And last but not least, we got Rook Exodus. Geoff Johns, Jason Fabok, Brad Anderson, Rob Lay. I don't want to forget the creators. I keep forgetting to mention them at the beginning, but this one is awesome. It stars, our character, his name's Rook, struggling farmer from Earth, who was given a second chance on the planet Exodus, a terraformed world where every aspect of nature is controlled by humanity, including the winged scavengers who plagued his crops. Now called Rook, the farmer became one of the wardens, those who wear helmets capable of commanding an animal species. But when the world's engine failed, the power of the wardens fell into the wrong hands. Those who could afford to fled, forcing those left behind to choose between trying to escape this war-torn world before its destruction or fighting to save it. This one is not tied into the Unnamed, but I absolutely love it. This one is a little bit bigger of an issue, so you get thrust right into this world of the year 2173. It mentions what had happened when this new planet was purchased in 2152. It was rebranded in 2153, colonized 6 years later, and then the Earth engine failed just 11 years later. And now, a year after that, everyone's trying to evacuate. So we see this rocket. It has been built by somebody. Obviously, they're trying to escape the planet. It blows up, and this is where we see Rook off in the distance with his birds that he can control, which I think is a really dope concept. That, when these people came from Earth, certain people were classified, and you'll see it later in this issue, were classified by different animals based on like their past. So he can control, more than just crows, but he can control crows, ravens, rooks, and it's just so cool because we're getting a little. He talks about their failure, my hope, their crash site, my salvation. So this is a very brutal world. Everyone kind of out for themselves, but you will see that he has some sort of an acquaintance on this planet too, a fellow warden, and as he's going to this crash site, he's talking to this guy named Swine, and as you can tell, he probably can control some sort of swine, pigs, warthogs, and you'll see that he even talks about somebody named Pumbaa, call out to Lion King, and he's like, without his pigs, finding what I need in this burning wreck, before it's melted beyond use, it's going to be impossible. Time's running out. And he sees this guy that's obviously dying. He tries to save him with what little painkillers he has left. It's the last of his batch, and the guy says, no, don't let them burn, and he passes off this folder. And Rook puts it away. We'll find out later what that's going to entail. But when we flip this page, my God, dude, this giant fucking bear. And I'm assuming there's some sort of warden, right, that controls him too, that, controls the bears. But why is it a insanely giant bear? That's really not, they don't really divulge that yet, but I'm assuming there's, this is a different planet. Are these different, did they mixed breeds? Did they, maybe some sort of fallout and mutated them? But I love the design of Rook. I love Jason Fabok's art. Done so many great stories. Again, he's paired with Geoff Johns a few times. Did Justice League. He did 3 Jokers. So cool to see him doing some creator-owned stuff, and all under the Ghost Machine banner. And I love this. He talks about the connection with the crows, and he sets them on, and they start pecking at the bear to make him go away. And the birds can smell the dead. Connected to them, so can I. So because he's connected, he can feel what they feel, see what they see, and he's like, they need to eat. They only have a sense of survival for themselves. And then he has to disconnect, which is interesting. So like he can break off from them, and we see this world, it's been destroyed. 2 years ago, population of almost 800,000. Flip it. Today it's 1. This double page spread, this sheer scope, the rendering on these buildings, just like completely immerses you in this world. The Ghost Machine one-shot, while it intrigued me about this series and what was going to take place, it didn't even do it justice in my opinion. This single issue, this first issue, is such a great first issue. All of them really. Geiger, Redcoat, Rook Exodus. I think they did such a phenomenal job of entering us into these worlds in such a great fashion. You don't have to pick up the Ghost Machine one-shot. You don't have to pick up Junkyard Joe. You don't have to pick up the first Geiger. But you're rewarded if you did. And I highly recommend, because they're all amazing comics. Finally we see Rook with his mask off. He has to drink away to numb the pain and numb the thoughts and voices in his head. He's obviously like going through these abandoned buildings. He marks them after he's discovered what he's discovered. Get some cool stuff right here of him just like watching an old film. This is an abandoned city. Finally, he opens up this folder and he sees this guy's family, and he's wondering, is his family still out there, or did he not want the photo to burn? Did they ever come in the first place? I'll never know. And it stays with him, and it's something that weighs on his heart, and his relief is in a bottle of booze. Finally, we meet Swine, who we did meet in the Ghost Machine one-shot. I know I keep mentioning it, but it is, definitely a good comic. And then I love his design. They each got he looks a little more barbaric. His helmet's really sick looking. And he's trying to convince Swine, like, you need to come with me, man. We got to leave. There's nothing here. And he doesn't want to leave. And he's like, it's not all bad out here. Rook comes back. He got the parts. He's trying to fix his rocket, but he's so drunk that he ends up fucking rigging something the wrong way. It blows up, and he falls straight to the ground. And we get this flashback in 2148, still on Earth. And he's fixing something on his farm. All of a sudden, he looks up in the sky, and there's all these ships. And this is when people are leaving Earth. Goes to his dad. They got it on the news. They're explaining what's going on. And, there's this whole corporation that's, like, convincing people to leave. And then, flash forward 15 years later, the farm's on fire. Can't find his dad. What he can only imagine is his dad burned too. And this, corporate guy's, like, willing to pay him. And he's like, that wasn't an accident. I'm sure it was your dad's dying gift to you. And, we see, like, not everybody can leave. So there's this great world waiting for these people, basically the rich or whoever can afford it. And then we see the people that are left behind, don't forget us. Promising them such a good world, whether it's clean water, clean air, optimal climate, and beauty like Earth's only better. And, just a few short years later, it is nothing like that. Rook comes back to Swine. We see him. And we see some of his warthogs have been slaughtered, and he's running through the woods, and here come these fucking massive bears ripping the warthogs to shreds. These double page spreads are so sick. And then finally we see Swine get his back's broken, his big ass hand comes, grabs his helmet off, and then we see, we don't know what this guy's name is yet, but he's controlling the bears. He's huge. He towers over Swine. And I'm assuming Ursa would be his name, but another great first issue, another bio page. There are going to be some other titles down the way. First Goes Devour, Hornsby and Halo, Hyde Street, Rockefeller Soulless. Some of those titles were previewed in that Ghost Machine one-shot that I cannot stop talking about. But I highly recommend getting each and every one of these. Yes, it is a little strange to release 3 number ones all on the same day. Not when they're this good. It's not that strange. And you know what? it was kind of a light week in terms of other stuff coming out. So I was super stoked to have not one, not two, but three awesome number ones. And all of them were phenomenal. Each one stands so good on its own. Each one is really different from the next. And I can't wait for the next issues. Hope you guys dug this. Hit up your comic shop. Pick up the comics. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.